Good morning. That's right, I have a handheld today. Well, wow, I'm finally here. Well, thank you. And wow, I have heard about this church for decades. So I'm thrilled to be here this morning. And thank you, where's the drummer, for the music. So when the music is that good, I don't have to worry if I fall on my face. Because you will remember them and not me. So I can let go. So are you ready to have a metaphysical romp? We're going to be romping with my understanding of the unity teachings. And one of the ways I like to start, we talked about how beautiful it is out there. So repeat this after me. It's another beautiful day in my consciousness. Yeah, let's do that again together. It's another beautiful day in my consciousness. Wow. Do you feel that? Yeah. So let's get going. Let me see here, make sure everything is working. Oops, it's probably this way. Okay, where am I pointing? Over there somewhere? Oh, wait. Oh, I think they're waiting to get it up. Okay. There we go. Okay. So there we have the most wonderful device we have, and the most, well, let's just say challenging device, okay? But I want you to have it out, and I want you to have the sound off. I want you to have it out so you can take pictures. You can take pictures of my slides, you can take pictures of what's going on here, and post it on the internet if you have that skill. Because don't we want to let people know what you have going here? Yes. And today, that's the way we do it, okay? So that's my information. And please sit back like that little minion friend. And just relax, right? We got to relax. And there's my email address, my website, and also the website of my podcast, Metaphysical Romp 2, that I do with the Reverend Doctors Bill and Cher Holton almost once a week. I give you that information because I want you to reach out to me. I have a belief that as soon as we start interacting with each other, we are always connected. And because we're always connected, you have my permission to reach back to me. Okay? Are we good with that? Okay, super. So, love's threefold nature. Now, I kept it to threefold because anything over threefold gets messy, right? I mean, so threefold nature. And what Carla failed to share with you is I'm a former dentist. She's a former hygienist. So we hit it off right away when we first met, right? Yes, yes. And you might think it's a big jump to go from dentistry to ministry. It isn't, because now we recommend meditation over medication, yes? And I want to know if you came with your mental floss today. Sometimes we need that, don't we? Yeah. Okay, so here we go. So these are the threefolds I'm talking about today. Love the principle, love the feeling and emotion, the one we're most familiar with, yes, I hope, and love the action, because Carla and I are all about putting our feet on this stuff. So, how many times have we heard God is love? I mean, thousands, millions maybe, I don't know. God is love and so much more. And how many times have you heard this? Love makes the world go round. And have you ever wondered what that means? Well, I have a possibility. Because sometimes it doesn't seem like love's making the world go around, does it? No. Okay, so love the principle. So love the principle is based on the idea that our founder, or our founders, the Fillmores, said that everything that changes has a fundamental principle or idea underneath it that is immutable, which means unchangeable, always present, and always available. In fact, everything you think, say, and do is based on a principle. So what is principle? Why are we talking about principle? Well, in the revealing word, under the entry for capital M mind, have you heard that capital M mind is a synonym? Synonym? Which synonym for God? Have you heard that? Yes. So when we say mind, Charles said we mean God, and usually we stop there. But Charles didn't. He said it's the universal principle which includes all principles. Yeah. And Eric Butterworth said, God is spirit, or we could say God is mind, or God is principle, present in its entirety at every point in space at the same time. Think about that. Present at every point in space, all at the same time. I have over 3 trillion cells in our bodies. Did you know that? Over 3 trillion. And there is the completeness, the wholeness, the totality of the divine at each and every one of those cells. To me, that's like, yeah, so this is why we say we are divine. Now, that divinity is everywhere as well. And for us, the most important point is right here, right now, always present, always available. So that's Myrtle Fillmore. So she had a quote about principle. Here's what she said. God is it, neither male nor female, but principle. God is it, neither male nor female, but principle. Now, I have a little bone to pick with our founders because they said God is it, and then they referred to God as he and him, much more than they said God is it. And so saying that, it creates like a tsunami that the idea that God is it is forgotten. It's not male, it's not female. So then, what is this thing we're calling principle in this context? Isn't that important to know? Yeah, because so one of the things is we folks in Unity are really good at being vague. And you know what I say about being vague? Are you ready? What happens in vagueness stays in vagueness. It does. Have you noticed that? How can you act on something that's vague? Let's go to a restaurant. Well, if you're not specific, you're not going to get to one. Right? So what is principle? Well, it's a fundamental law. And there are fundamental laws in the universe, in case you didn't know that. And when I say fundamental law in terms of principle in God, that means every unchangeable law is included in the divine. So all the laws of science, all the constants of science, those I include in the same basket. And then we can say principle is an underlying faculty. Are we good to go? Yeah, maybe. Okay, so there we have Mary with baby Jesus, telling her to get in, telling him to get in. And you know what's going on there, don't you? This. Jesus was fully human and fully divine. And guess what? You're fully human and you are fully divine. Now, I put that up there because it's F-U-L-L-Y, not F-O-O-L-Y. Yeah, we're fully human, fully divine. None of us are ever expressing the full extent of what it means to be human, are we? And none of us are using the divine in such a way that we're using the entirety of the divine, or of our innate, inherent, did you hear that? Inherent divinity. Because the way in which our founders referred to the divine was we inherit it from him. No, it's inherent. It's what you are. And your humanity is who you are. So, love, then, is something we are, because love is a principle. And it's an aspect of our divinity. And we don't know how many of those faculties there are. And love is one of our 12 powers. Have you heard about the 12 powers? Okay, so the 12 powers are 12 of these principles, 12 of these divine ideas that are inherent in us. And if I just told you you had 12, well, then we're being vague, aren't we? But if we're specific, then it's more actionable. And isn't that what we're trying to do? We're trying to act on these things so we can maybe be better humans. Now, I'm not talking about getting rid of your humanity, getting rid of your personality, getting rid of your body. How many of you are tired of hearing spiritual traditions that's all about that? That we're trying to escape our bodies and our personalities so we can go to some faraway peace where God is having coffee hour and we get to spend eternity with him. But God is not a him. God is not a her. God is it. And so when we're talking about the principle, we're talking about the power of love. So now let's go to love the feeling and more. Wait, there's more. So the thing is that when we talk about love being a principle, we have to find a way to express it. And the primary way most of us humans are aware of what this principle of love is used for is for loving, isn't it? And it's for the emotion of love. It's also for being compassionate. How many of you are compassionate? Okay. How many of you are compassionate with yourself? Okay. I have a true confession. On one of my walks during the COVID, I was listening to a book called Your Resonant Self. And for the first time in meditations, I heard the possibility of what my inner voice could sound like. Because I don't know about you, but my critical voice was well developed. And it was usually in the voice of my mother. Just saying, okay? But when I heard what that compassionate voice sounds like, then I could even be more compassionate with others. I thought I was being compassionate. But having our words backed up by this beautiful principle, feeling, and emotion of love is a whole new level, folks. A whole new level. So while my critical voice would say, "Oh, you did it again, stupid," but my compassionate voice would say, "Keep on going. You're getting it. Remember what you are." So then we have the most important, love the action. In fact, the church that Carla and I came out of, they had whole programs called Love in Action. Now, it's important. You say, love in action, or else it's heard love in action, which means it's not happening, right? So we have to be really, really clear with our language. So how are some of the ways we can do this? Well, this is one of my favorite quotes from A Course in Miracles. So the Course in Miracles was my entry ramp to unity. It said, make this year different by making it all the same. Huh? What? Well, that's because from our personalities, as we're growing up, we make each situation different, and so we have to have a different way of meeting it, which is difficult, isn't it? Yeah. But what if we decided that whatever the situation, we meet it with the sameness that we are? What if in every situation you decided to be the living expression of the love you are? So, from Attitudinal Healing, which came out of A Course in Miracles, it says, we can be love finders rather than fault finders. Well, I was one of those. Anybody here with fault finder in your lifetime? Yeah, yeah. And so that's the negative spin, but in being a fault finder, it also can be helpful. Okay, so we don't want to make it bad. So I'm the one that can see the train coming in the tunnel. And then we have the train headlights. So I'm the one in board meetings, would go, well, yes, but what about that? And so we need people that will say, yes, but. That can see maybe the fly in the ointment. And therefore, you end up with a better result. So are you going to be a love finder from now on? Yes. Okay, good. So then, have you taught about the 5 love languages here? Oh, wow. Okay. Have you had the 5 love languages? Yeah. Well, some of you maybe didn't have. So this was a really good book for me to help me with relationships. How many have had problems with the relationships? Yeah. So these are the 5 love languages: words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, quality time, and touch. These are the 5 ways that we're discerned that we naturally express love and naturally receive love. Now, sometimes they're different. Sometimes they're the same. So take a look at that list and ask yourself, which one of those do I represent? So words of affirmation should be really easy for Unity people because we talk about affirmations all the time. So words of affirmation are speaking supportive words to each other, especially in the time of trouble and need. Acts of service, I bet you have a lot of them here too, because acts of service is how we show up in a church in love. I'm going to do this because I love this community. I'm going to do that because I love this community. How many of you do that? Okay. How many identify with words of affirmation? Wonderful. Gifts. Who of you knows a person that can find the perfect gift for anyone and then in 2 minutes wrap it exquisitely? Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how it works because I don't have that one. Now, the next one is mine, quality time. Give me 5 minutes one-on-one with you so we can speak heart to heart. That's mine. Anybody else here, quality time? Now, look, you might have that one too. Okay? And the last one is touch. And we're good with that in Unity, aren't we? Because we're usually hugging each other with permission. Yes. But I just read an article. Okay, sidebar. I'm a science nerd. Okay, I like reading science. My first degree was in biology, so I'm just a scientist at heart. Okay, so touch. So they did research, And they found out that holding hands is amazing. We have all kinds of nerve receptors in our hands and our fingers, much more than other parts of our body. This is why people can learn Braille, okay? And holding hands reduces stress. Anybody know stress here? Okay. And there's a couple more I'm forgetting right now. But touch is important, and holding hands is a way we can do it. In those moments when you're feeling a little separate from the person who's you're closest to, hold their hand. Reestablish connection. Very, very important stuff. And so I just went through those one at a time, so I didn't need all these separate sides. Okay, that was one review. Here's another review. That's just in case I forget one. Okay. So I wanted to invest a little time with you to talk about unconditional love. Because don't we hear about that? But don't you go, what? What? You know, it's another one of those things that's vague unless we're really specific about it. So unconditional love is a love that doesn't need a reason. It doesn't need an external object or person in order to love. And so you might ask, how do we do that? Well, guess what? I have a process. So, how many of you have done gratitude lists? Yeah, so this is like a gratitude list, but it's a love list. At least once a day, make a list of 5 things you love. Then set it down, and then notice how you feel as you wrote down each of those, okay? And then here's the practice. Practice feeling that love without an awareness of something it's connected to. Since you can generate that love with an object, you can generate that love without an object. And then you can enter into the space of unconditioned love, unconditional love. By the way, you can do that with the gratitude list as well. So we just did that. So we talked about love the principle, love the feeling more, love the action, and you get a bonus today. You ready for the bonus? I give this bonus because often when I talk about love, somebody brings up fear. Yeah? It's like when you bring up good, people always bring up bad, evil, or something like that. Okay, so about 3 years ago when I was preparing a talk for Unity at Dallas, and I was looking at one of my favorite quotes in A Course in Miracles, which I didn't bring with me, but it basically said, fear hides love's presence. I went, oh, that's interesting. But is there something deeper there? So have you ever noticed when you're in fear, something you love is threatened? Think about that for a moment. That's a deep thought. That when you're in fear, something you love is threatened. It could be yourself. It could be a loved one, a friend. It could be a possession. I mean, don't get near my dark chocolate, okay? I love my dark chocolate. And so instead of doing all these machinations of how to keep fear away or at bay, what if we started another spiritual practice? And that practice is when you are aware of fear, you ask yourself, what am I loving right now? What do I love right now? Because love is actually evidence of love's fear is actually evidence of love's practice and love's presence. It's there. And when we can shift from the fear of it being threatened to the thing we love, then fear has no grip on us. So that's another practice for you. When you're going about your week, if you have that sensation of fear, maybe you notice how your body feels, or you're having fear thoughts, stop, breathe, ask yourself, what is this fear revealing to me? What is this fear evidence of? What love? And so, my friends, that's love's threefold nature. Thank you and bless you.